busboy job, she had gotten me in there. So that's kind of how we knew each other. And so I get on the plane, and I got my barf bag in my hand, because I don't know.
You've never been on a plane, yeah.
I'd never been on a plane. And so we go to Denver, and I think, I barely remember being in DIA, but I feel like it was still under construction. And it's still under construction today, apparently.
A couple of my regulars are actually they just won the contract to finish it up.
I think they ran out of room for the UFOs in the underground storage, so they're expanding a little bit.
The secret bunker for all the world leaders, yeah.
So
they can't even get your luggage to you. How are they going to protect the president and the cabinet?
So I didn't need my barf bag on the flight to DAA. There was a little turbulence, but next thing I know, I'm walking out onto the tarmac, and I see propellers on the plane that I'm about to get in. So I'm like, that leg of the trip, I almost did need a barf bag, because if you've ever been to Telluride by plane, they take you up, 30-something minutes later, you're descending a little bit, and then all of a sudden you do a corkscrew hairpin 7-point turn, and you hit the deck.
Yeah.
It's hardcore.
Same thing in Aspen, too. Like, you come over the mountains and you have to, drop it quick to hit the runway. And you're in, the equivalent of a lawnmower
It's extra.
of planes.
It's extra special, So, anyway, I get to Telluride, and Jessica's in the scene, For me, it was a little daunting in terms of snowboarding there, because I come from the East Coast, and East Coast, you grow up riding ice.
Right.
So I used to snowboard quite a bit. I mean, I was probably on the mountain at least once, twice a week when I was in high school, and this was shortly after high school. So, so I get out here and we go up the lift, and we're coming down, and I'm out of breath after 100 yards, and I kept falling down. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? She's like, oh, yeah, elevation. Oh, yeah, powder.
Oh, yeah, you can turn left here.
She's like, you got to lean that shit back and let it ride. And so, that then I got 200 yards out of it, but I couldn't breathe, because I was, you go from being a sea-level guy all your life to Telluride.
Yeah, it's brutal. Plus trying to light your cigarette up there in the middle of the slope. It's a nightmare.
So we rode it, I rode Telluride a couple times, and then we drove out to Crested Butte for the X Games, which was cool, and, there was a lot of partying involved. We were staying in a house with some of the guys competing in the X Games, who I don't know who they were. They were just local Crested Butte Telluride guys that had been good enough to get in there, but there was a lot of partying that went on, and her boyfriend at the time was kind of hooked into the DJ culture, so the partying increased that much,
Okay, now I know. I like where this is going.
Yeah, so anyway, I found myself, in the car after this trip. It was a great trip. We snowboarded a lot, checked out hot springs, went to the X Games. It was legendary. And I've always smoked quite a bit of weed. Back then. I haven't smoked in quite a while now, but, we would smoke excessively to the point that you get a little paranoid. And so somehow I convinced myself that it was great to carry back a sheet of acid from Max, her boyfriend, her DJ boyfriend. So I don't even know where I pinned this sheet of acid. I think I wrapped it in plastic wrap and like taped it to my leg or something. I don't even remember. But they decided to smoke a blunt on the ride to Telluride Airport. So I went through that whole trip in reverse, high as hell, thinking that somebody with a dog was going to sniff out my LSD because I smelled like weed.
Right.
So it was pretty challenging to get back. But anyway, I landed on like a Tuesday night, and I was pumped about this sheet of acid. We had ate a couple tabs when we were out there, so I go to Gotham City with my well, I didn't take the whole sheet, but
right.
I went with a nice strip, and it's snowing on a Tuesday in Connecticut, Danbury, Connecticut, Podunk College Town, so penny draft night wasn't really going down.
It wasn't going to happen.
No.
Might as well.
So it's myself and my boss Liam, the Irish drunk dude, and he's got like 3 friends because he's a local boy. Well, his friends are all from the town next door, which is even Danbury's about 100,000 people, but the surrounding towns are pretty small and tight knit, and his bar was like the party bar for the guys that washed up from college and whatnot. So there's probably like 3 or 4 people in there. And us, and it's snowing and it's coming down, and he's working and I'm technically off, and we got a couple friends there. So there was like 1 or 2 dudes that were just high school football player washouts, and then there's Then there's Jessica and her boyfriend Ronnie. Ronnie's another old school bartender who was getting out of the game. You know, he had opened a lawn business and had owned a bar for a little bit, and unlike Liam, you know, hadn't realized yet, you know, had already realized that he didn't want to be a bar owner and let me get the hell out of there. So he was opening a lawn service or whatever.
Jesus, I'm just going to say, it's so depressing. Like, guys getting out of the life to become deli owners and lawn service owners. Jesus.
You know, it is a little depressing. So keep bartending.
Yeah, dude, seriously.
You know, it's you still get the glory role.
No offense to our deli owner and lawn service owners out there. Just not for me.
No, I've never met a OG bartender that at least has a half a personality that wasn't still cool bartending at 60.
I can't imagine being like, I want it thinly sliced. How is that worse than bartending? Like, that's awful.
Oh man!
But mowing lawns, I get.
I think they felt it, you know, because there were times where, you know, they would get a particularly annoying customer. We had one. Her name was Jane, and she would, you know, she had a thick Long Island accent, and she would come in and she'd be like, "Tony, is the roast beef rare today?" You know, and it was like she would walk out some days and they would take a bagel and huck it across the room, and you know, me as a young guy, I was just lucky to not get hit in the head, and I did get hit in the head a couple times.
Fucking Jane.
Fucking Jane.
So anyway, we're in the bar. Your night off.
So
you
we're in
set
the bar,
foot on
yeah.
your employment's your place of employment's
with a
soil
with a strip of LSD, and
it's snowing.
You know, and so I was really the one female in the room is Jessica, and Jessica, her nickname is Hollywood. Okay, so we were very tight knit with the local hairdressers in town. You know, and so we hung with the hairdressers, and she wasn't a hairdresser. She was like the what do you call that? She was the hostess, the host that answered the desk, and you know, she was a lot. She was heavy duty. So, you know, she dressed mainly in leopard.
Oh, nice.
You know, it was leopard.
She's
it was
Sharon
cheetah.
Stone in Casino.
It was heels every day, but
Gold lame.
she loved to party.
All
but
right.
she was awesome. She was just a sweet human being. Loved her friends. She would die for her friends. You know, she was awesome. But she partied her ass off. You know, so she's you know, a lot of the podcasts that I listened to from you, you know, similar stories. You know, there was, you know, multiple days involved, and you know, like no nights, you know, they would just continuously string along.
They bleed together. There's a light change.
Yeah, and I'm gonna plead the fifth on any other activities that I've done with Jessica. You know, except for one maybe. So eventually, you know, she was awesome, and she loved attention. You know, and she was all about it, but she loved the party. So she found out that I had this strip of LSD in my pocket.
I can smell it on you.
Well,
better than the drug dogs at the airport.
We like to party. She's like, yeah, let's do it. You know, she's like, but I want Ronnie to do it too. You know, so Ronnie wasn't into it. You know, and I wasn't super close with Ronnie, but I was super close with Jessica, and you know, we were good friends, and he approved of that relationship. Which was probably bad because I eventually started banging her when I was about 21 years old.
Good for you, buddy.
My grandfather's boat in Cape Cod, and you know, several times thereafter. But you know, I was young, so it's okay to say that.
It's okay, yeah. It's not.
You know, I'm happily married and with a dog and a child now.
Yep.
You know,
Jessica only texts now.
So Jessica insisted. No, I haven't talked to her in years.
Kidding.
Man. That's been forever. But so she really wanted Ronnie to do it enough that she just popped some in his drink.
Oh no, without him knowing?
That's horrible.
LSD is like, A, you got to know, B, you got to love whoever you're with and your surroundings.
And it was funny.
That's a journey drug.
I mean, it's that a couple days later, Ronnie called me up and he's like, "Man," he's like, "I couldn't sleep the other night. Like, what?" I was like, "Yeah."
That's all that happened. You just couldn't sleep. Jesus Christ. I remember like running barefoot out of my apartment, chasing the guy delivering the newspaper at 5 in the morning because I thought he was my friend.
So it was great, but I mean, it was, you know, that was just one element of the night, and thereafter we, you know, and you know, while this isn't the most exciting finish, I think that the elements of this story are fun nonetheless. You know, we started playing 3-ball, and I don't know if you've ever played 3-ball, but the idea is that, you know, you have three balls on the pool table, and the goal, it's a gambling game, and the goal is to shoot all 3 balls in as few shots as you possibly can. And so it's actually very hard. You know, it's one of those things where in the beginning you think that, oh yeah, I can do this easy, and then next thing you know, you're losing money and you're like, fuck. You know, like,
you're like at the 20th shot going, what the fuck?
Yeah, and Jessica's there distracting everybody.
While you're on acid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. How are the angles working? Is it still like, do you need a protractor? Is everything still in line? Like you're hallucinating?
No, that's the funny thing. That's the funny thing. When you're on LSD, everything lines up for you.
Okay.
And it's like, it's very, it's very, there's algorithms. You can see all sorts of, what's that curve called? Fibonacci. Everything is Fibonacci
sequence
sometimes.
You're like in Tron World.
You're able to see like the design of the universe sometimes, so I don't know what it was, but I step up to play 3-ball, and like my second or third shot, of the night, I had watched these guys play for like an hour before I had the balls to jump in because I was tweaking out of my mind.
Yeah.
And so I finally step up, my third or fourth time, and like the balls go in slow motion, and they go up and around, and all three dropped in. And you can imagine if if you're on LSD, like that shit blew my fucking mind.
Oh
to
man,
the point that,
that's like a stroke right there.
It was like all the walls started melting because I was so excited.
You're like one shot.
Yeah,
you just like you
one
broke.
Shot. All three balls went in, and I took the pot, which was like $100. And I was like, it was crazy.
Tripping on acid, it's like golf. What's your handicap? LSD.
Oh my god.
That's amazing.
But yeah, years later, I started dating Jessica. She was probably 10 years, 8, 9 years my senior, and she was like the hottest ticket in town. And
nice.
It was one of those things, and yeah.
She was like a hot party girl, like 10 years older than you. So
party girl.
I can't imagine what went wrong.
I don't know.
Do you remember how that one came to an end?
I got into more drugs.
Oh, you did? Oh, you outdid her?
Story for another day.
All right, next episode, we're going to hear the sequel to this from Snap.
Story for another day that's never going to happen.
All right, we'll see what happens. All right, guys, you heard it. Snap, Denver, working at Carboy Winery. Never play him in 3-ball.
Please do not come in and put acid in my drink thinking that you're doing me a favor.
Yeah, check his pupils before you gamble with him. That's all I'm going to say. All right, buddy. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this was fun. Love you, brother.
Love you, man.
Peace.
Folks, it's been a blast. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. And a call to my fellow booze slingers. Send in your stories to cocktailsandwastednights@gmail.com. You can remain anonymous if you'd like. Thanks for listening, subscribing, downloading, and spreading the word. Don't be afraid to give me a good review, even if you're lying. We'll see you next week on Behind Bars, Cocktails, and Wasted Nights. Cheers!